G'day legends. So Kiive Audio's NFUSE plugin has been out for a few weeks now. I know a bunch of you have been loving it and using it in your mixes just like myself. And I know a few of you have been asking, how does it actually compare to the real hardware? Because I do have an SSL Fusion right here on my desk, and we'll get that up on the screen in a minute. And so they've just brought out an update that now lets you switch between a bus compressor or the high frequency compressor on the Fusion side of the plugin. So this now lets me do a more direct comparison between the plugin and the hardware. And so I think there is going to be some difference between the plugin and the hardware, and I feel like it's always that case. Whenever you compare a plugin to hardware, there's always differences. What I want to know is, does it have the essence of what an SSL Fusion adds to a mix? And does it sound good when we bypass it off and on? All right, let's go. Okay, so I've got a pop punk song here, and I put some settings on that I like to use when I really want to hyper mix up, when I feel like it's a bit too mid-rangey and I want to bring out the lows and the highs a bit more and get it a little bit more exciting sounding. Tried to level match this as best as I could between the two examples. Actually sounded pretty damn close. Let's hear that again. So between the two of those, it's so close. So I actually wasn't expecting it to sound that close, and that was pretty good. There's a real slight difference. I feel like I could hear a tiny bit more fumpy low end in the NFUSE plugin, and then the hardware sounded a tiny bit more open. And these are really small differences. And if you're wondering what the track sounded like bypassed, then here is the bypassed version. So both the plugin and the hardware are doing a great job at making this track sound a little bit more lively. And if you haven't tried this plugin out for yourself and you're keen to check it out, using the link below helps support this channel. You can go visit Kiive Audio's website. You can do a free trial, and if you decide that you like it, then grab a copy of it. So our next track is a little bit of a heavier one. It's kind of like on the post-hardcore kind of thing, a bit of like that melodic, heavy kind of stuff. What a genres. Hardware and plugin settings are exactly the same. So let's check it out.
Take the darkness out from under my soul. The future was bleak. I begged and prayed for this. Recover us, kids, so young and so weak.
Again, that sounds really close when you just kind of play them back to back like that. When I was dialing them in, I felt like there was more difference, but when I hear them in a succession like that, the difference is so much smaller than how I imagine it. I'll show you what it sounds like when we bypass NFUSE.
Take the darkness out from under my soul. The future was bleak. I begged and prayed for this. Recover us, kids, so young and so weak.
So definitely kind of taming the harshness a little bit, making it sound a little bit bigger in the low end, and just sort of a little bit smoother sounding overall. So both the plugin and the hardware did a pretty good job of doing that. All right, let's do one more example, less rocky kind of stuff, something a little bit more chill and groovy, and let's see how this turns out. Okay, so with this one, we've gone a little bit harder on the processing because the mix was a little under processed. It sounded kind of dark and really rolled off on the highs and lows. And this is just bringing some life and energy to the track.
And if you are not moving, you can never go any undesired way. Picture yourself now with nowhere to be. covering your body.
They both sound great to me. I do feel like the NFUSE has a little bit more thump in the low end like we saw in our first example, and the Fusion sounds that little bit more open just because it's kind of lacking that extra bit of low end when we compare the two together. But honestly, they both sound really good, and it's just a matter of boosting a tiny little bit more low end and you'd have the same thing going on as the NFUSE, or just pulling a little bit of low end out of the NFUSE and you'd have a very similar thing going to the Fusion. Maybe we just pull it back to around 3.5.
And if you are not moving, you can never go any undesired way. Picture yourself.
So that sounds much closer now, just with slightly different settings on the EQ. We're able to bring it a lot closer together. And I feel like that's the main difference I'm hearing, is that the NFUSE boosts the low end a little bit more than the Fusion does. And again, it just comes down to how much you boost in the EQ and what you want to hear. Because if you wanted to hear more thump in the Fusion, then you would boost that low end a little bit more. And then if you didn't want that much thump when you're using the NFUSE plugin, you just wouldn't boost it as far as that. You would just bring it up until it starts to sound good. But I feel like the essence is here. Like they sound very similar. And that's what we're looking for. And in case you were wondering, this is what the track sounds like bypassed.
Picture yourself now with nowhere to be, and the footprints are covering your body.
So you hear that both the plugin and the hardware have absolutely killed it at bringing this track to life, because it was sounding a little bit lifeless before. So there you go. There is a couple of examples comparing Kiive Audio's NFUSE directly to the hardware of the SSL Fusion. And I've got to say, they came out a lot closer than I expected. The essence and the vibe of the SSL Fusion is definitely in the NFUSE plugin, when there is slight differences like we heard, but again, it just comes back to how you dial it in. The overall sound of what you get from the Fusion, they've done a really good job of capturing that. And then it seems that it's just slight parameter differences that set it apart from the hardware. But when I'm dialing in the plugin, I'm not really thinking about how the hardware reacts. I'm thinking about what do I need to adjust on here to make the mix sound good. Not that when I put this setting on the hardware, it sounds great. I'm going to do the same settings on here and hope for the best. Just use your ears and dial it in until it sounds good. And that's just the way it is with anything. Like, you just got to use your ears, dial it in, get a good sound. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. Drop a comment below. Let me know, do you think that they sound similar? Do you think that there is a big difference between them? Do you think it really matters? Do you think that the plugin sounds good, or do you think it sounds bad? I want to hear what you guys think. Me personally, I think the plugin sounds great. And if you haven't tried this plugin out for yourself and you're keen to check it out, using the link below helps support this channel. You can go visit Kiive Audio's website. You can do a free trial, and if you decide that you like it, then grab a copy of it. If you're mixing a song and the vocals sound kind of muffled, then check out this next video coming out where I'm going to show you how to clean up a muffled vocal sound.
Headed for a way to call.